speaking about can usually be sessions of 2 or 3 hours at least. So Helena has been very strict with timing. So we're going to try and really minimize this to 15, 20 minutes with questions. Second note is that I have a very naughty British dog with me. I'm saying British because she's an import from England. She's a lovely Shar-Pei dog, but she's now not in her best behavior. So if she does start barking for any reason, we might need to do a little intermission and solve that, but hopefully it will be okay. So I'm going to share my screen and dive right in there. So we're going to be speaking about what I call scalable ways to gain customers, and a little bit of tactics and things around that. Different. You can see my screen, right? Everybody can see my
Yeah, we
screen?
see it. Yeah.
Cool. So a little bit from the world of what's called growth hacking. Growth hacking is a term that's often misunderstood, has many definitions, not very clear to everyone. And really, from my experience, both in the B2C and B2B, I found a few simple techniques which demonstrate a lot, which what stands for me as growth hacking, and I'm happy to share it with you. So I like starting these kind of pitches or sessions with a personal story. I don't know if you recognize this chubby chap, but his name is Duncan Campbell. He's one of the lead singers of a band that's called UB40 from Birmingham, UK. I'm not going to sing Red Wine to you, but the story goes like this, and and you'll understand why I'm telling to you it to you in a few minutes. Around 2017, I relocated with my third startup back then, which was called, or it's called Funzing. It's a marketplace for experiences and talks, also in Israel, in the UK, and Singapore. And I was one of the co-founders. And I relocated to the UK with that startup. And we were, it's essentially it's like Airbnb or Uber or those kind of platforms, but for experiences and events. So people can create experiences or book tickets to weird and wonderful events. So I was in charge of expanding the operations after launching it in London to 10 more cities across the UK. One of them was lovely and great Birmingham. And I found myself one night walking between bars and venues and restaurants. If some of you know, in the UK, there's a lot of places with function rooms where you can hold events. And I was trying to onboard a lot of venues to work with. I found myself in this grim night entering a place that had a big blue plaque like you have in the UK that says, "This is the first place that UB40 ever played." So very exciting, walked in. And after a few minutes of chat with the marketing manager of the pub, she told me, "Listen, it's great. We can hold your talks and events, and we can, you can onboard us to your platform. But if you spend your time on going to our chain marketing manager, you'll be able in one conversation to probably close around 85 pubs across the north of England." And then, it was like an aha moment for me, and a coin dropped. That basically, if I take some of my resources and efforts to a higher level and reach more people in one go, my life will become much easier. And that's what happened. I went back to London, and I started reaching out to chain and group managers of restaurants and bars all across the UK. And in conversation here and there, I closed dozens of venues and partnerships. So I want to try and talk about what I call the network effect pyramid. And there's a few principles here before we see the pyramid itself. And you can take this to your business. You could be a lawyer. You could be, I don't know, a website creator. You could be an accountant. You could be a freelance designer. Anyone could use this kind of approach and make their time more efficient. So one thing is that every consumer could be someone you're reaching to pay you money, and it could be a decision maker in B2B, belongs to a group. Everyone belongs to groups. They have common denominators with other people, okay? I am a male, I am married, I have a baby who's 10 months old, I own a dog, I work in high tech, I live in central Tel Aviv, and I own an electric bike. If you take 6 or 7 of these things and put them in different Facebook groups, WhatsApp groups, offline places I might hang out, you will find similar places, similar people to me. That's a very important principle. Some groups are easier to engage with than others. If you want to reach soldiers, for example, it's not very easy to give a call to the IDF and say, hey guys, we want to market our services to soldiers. But there is a club that does party nights for soldiers, and there's a Facebook groups that's intended for soldiers, and so on. That's as a group. Could be students, could be SMB owners, could be barbers, could be anyone. So when we understand that there are what we call layers for scales, we decide which are the easiest to reach out. And in 3 steps, we plan a pyramid. We assertively approach and we improvise if we doesn't work. And it will be very clear in a minute with some examples. So this is a kind of tool that's a gift from me to you. When you want to reach out and find potential customers or clients or people to work with, instead of shooting all over the places or spending a lot of money on Facebook or Google Ads, what I would do is sit by yourself and draw a pyramid or form an Excel that kind of looks on the layers of where they belong to, and then take the efforts to approach the admins or the gatekeepers who manage those layers. What do I mean? The customer at the bottom, or that B2B decision maker, or whoever it is that you want to reach out, has a few layers above him. Usually it gets more difficult the more you go up. The first layer is what I call industry or career related. It relates to more people who do the same of what that person does. And you'll see an example shortly. Online communities are places they belong online. Offline communities are places that they go to physically. Could be a shop, could be a park, could be a kindergarten, could be anything, okay? Could be professional seminars, conferences, events, and so on. And national associations are usually the very top bureaucratical layer they could belong to. What do I mean? So if we take, for example, someone who is a freelancer designer, web designer that wants to reach new clients to design their websites. So at the bottom line, let's say that you. So you would say, I want potential customers who need web design. Could be potential small businesses who are closed because of COVID and they want a website. Who can I reach out to, or where do they hang out? Because they're small business owners and because they need or potentially need websites. So in this example, what I said is all of them have an accountant office. So if you reach out to the accountant and say, hey, bro, would you want to do a kind of a deal? And maybe I will give you 10%, maybe a commission, maybe a lump sum, maybe we'll do some kind of barter, but you introduce me to these SMBs, right? And we're not competing. I'm a designer, you're an accountant. You might quite easily spend less time and reach 50 SMBs. So that's exactly it. They use an accountant because they're SMBs. And that's what I call third-party vendors or third-party companies which are not competing. Think of more people like you who are after the same client at the bottom. I don't have much time to expand, but I really hope that this structure will sit well in your mind and you could kind of take it and implement this. We talked about online groups. Where do SMBs that need web design, where do they hang out? They hang out in a group like today. If I were a web designer and I sneakily would have made Helena made me enter this forum, I could have somehow got to all of you and offered you maybe a web design or something else, some other service. There's more service, more groups, more kind of meetups, more kind of online, offline forums like that where these people hang out, right? In the yellow one, we can see an offline layer, which in the real world, which is a bit frozen due to COVID. I would say a lawyers networking event. Let's say if I'm after lawyers, that could be, I don't know, some kind of conference where new restaurants take on different vendors. And the last thing is let's say the health and safety government organization that works with the SMBs. Okay, does that make sense? That's kind of different places where similar people come together. And the idea is that instead of going to these SMBs, I will bribe the accountant to work with me. That's the bottom line. Let's see another example. I jumped really quickly. Okay. Yeah. So let's say I am a company that publishes books for lawyers and I want to reach lawyers and sell them my books, B2C. So they're at the bottom. All of the lawyers, because they are lawyers, they go to a law firm. If I will close a deal with the HR of a law firm, of a very big law firm, excuse me, I promise it's going to happen. Mish, bye. 1 second. Let's see if this will work now. Anyway, so let's say I will contact the law firm HR and say, hey, I got 10% off for your book, for my books, to your lawyers. Obviously, if that HR person or someone else there or the office manager is going to let me in, this makes sense. It's not like rocket science, but I will look for the shortcuts to get to many people. I'd look on low publisher websites that are reading or meetup groups. Obviously, every country, every place has these specific niche audiences. You'd be surprised which kind of websites. When we were starting in the UK or now in the US with my B2B business today, you know, you would have Meetup, Nextdoor, Reddit, so many platforms, so many places, just like the one we are at now, and much bigger, of course, online or offline. Lloyd's Club is a members club in England for lawyers, for example. I could try and, you know, give some kind of bribe to stand at the entrance there. And all of these kind of partnerships, all of these kind of creative ways are probably much more efficient and better, and also more connected to your values than just pouring money on Google or on Facebook. And lastly, I could try somehow to get to the bar association. Very difficult, right? Usually, as I said, the more you go up, the more difficult it is. But maybe the bar association are doing an event. Maybe there's somehow I could get in. The point is, all I need is one from this pyramid. All I need is one partnership. 20, 30% of your time, of your acquisition time, put in these kind of partnerships, put in these kind of creative ways, you'll just get more results. So how do we approach? We rank from the most accessible to the least accessible through personal intros. You know someone who's an admin of the Vegans of Tel Aviv group. You know someone who knows Elena and can get you to talk about what you do in the networking group. You know someone who is a friend of the kindergarten teacher who owns all those young parents that you could sell your service to. I'm giving like really random examples. You can look on LinkedIn. If you have a specific email address, which is not info@ is always better. And then I always talk about mapping the interest. How do you actually bribe those admins, those gatekeepers to get you in and offer your service? The accountant can send a newsletter to 50 SMBs that use them for accountancy. But how do you actually do it? One is money. I always prefer commission-based or marginal cost, meaning I will give you free books. I will give you, that's marginal. I have it. It's always better than money. Or I will give you 10% or £5 or $5 or 50 shekels from every deal. Okay, so it's either success-based or either marginal. Two, it's value, meaning I will give you great content. I will give you something you don't have. I will give you a white labeled service, which you don't have. I will build a website for you, the accountant, okay, if you get me to all the SMBs that you usually give them accounting services. And three is what I call good cause. Good cause is, you know, we're all fucked because of Corona. You know, we're all in a place that we need each other now. Come towards me, and I'm doing a 50% off for people that were hurt because of Corona. So that's like an example of like a value. A value could also be, I am Jewish, you're Jewish. That's when you're abroad. I'm a vegan, you're a vegan. I believe that more women should be in startups. You believe that as well. I'm giving really random examples, but good cause is a moral level that you connect to that gatekeeper. So imagine layers, different places, online, offline communities. A lot of people are there. You need to bribe someone to get you in. And money is usually the easiest. Value is something that they don't have and they would want to, you know, at funding, we would approach admins of different meetup groups and say, we will organize you the bar and we'll let you come to do an offline event to your community, which you usually never do. It's a great service. So I gave some examples here. I'll pay them a commission for every consumer brought, or I will offer them a service they don't have, and preferably A/B test your approach. Let's say you went on Facebook, you mapped 20 groups for food and drinks restaurants in Tel Aviv. One, you offer money. One, you offer a good cause deal because of the Corona. And one, you say, I will build you your own website for your networking group, for example. So that's what I call A/B testing, to try a lot of different approaches. Again, this is very quick. We can speak a lot about this. Step number 3, let's say we approach the Islington Moms admin, said, hey, could you please let all the young moms in your group know there is a great new service for young families and kids, right? So what do we do if we fail? We try another one. And the whole thing here is to list a kind of a big pyramid and then have a lot of potential leads. And that's a tip that I'm not going to speak a lot about, but basically you could create your own. If you think that the sports lovers of Central Israel is a group that will attract right customers for you, you can go to Meetup, you can go to Facebook, you can go to any kind of WhatsApp, open a newsletter and invest money in creating that and putting content of yours, or even paying for other people to put content in there, because these assets become yours. And it's a bit shady sometimes. It could look like you're, giving professional advice, which is real. It's real content, but it doesn't have to be your name. It doesn't have to be that you're pushing your service too much, rather than creating these assets which are more topical, if that makes sense. Um, Job listicles is just an example that I did once, which I'm not really going to get into, and really going to creating opinion leader networking events. So let's say I heard someone here that's an expert in Dutch law. If you create now a webinar or an event or a Facebook group that says how to do business in the Netherlands, that's an event. You'll bring different people. You did a great service, a good value. We talked about the moral values, or the good cause, because there's a lot of people that are interested in doing business in the Netherlands. But obviously on the way, in the info of the admin, they know you're a lawyer. People will contact you. You will put some professional white papers and videos on there, if that makes sense. So these are all ways to create these kind of layers on your own, spend less time, and just get many more people in one go, if that makes sense. So what did we talk about? We talked about approaching a market or an industry to attract customers in cost-effective ways. So the first step is how to identify what I call those B2C to B2B layers. Instead of going consumer, decision maker, we're essentially looking for the B2B, the group layers they belong to. And we take advantage of a networking effect. So we bribe one person, we get to 50. I say bribe like this. Step two, we understood who we should reach out and how we should do it. So it's usually admins, gatekeepers, anyone that has the control in one click of a button to get you to many people, today virtually mostly. And if it doesn't work, we can create the same kind of these assets, which are topical, which are good for the community, and which would have been ideal for you if there was an admin that had 2,000 members like that. You could do it by yourself and create them on your own. So again, I can speak 4 hours on this, but this was limited. I hope that it gave you a few sparks and a few nice directions, because this really works. I've most of my career, both in B2C and B2B, I've worked with pyramids like this hundreds of times. Thank you very much. This is how you spell my name, Yaron Saghiv. You're really welcome to add me on LinkedIn. That's the best. I don't promise I'll answer, but I promise I'll add you, and I promise that I don't promise I'll answer quick. I promise I'll answer. So feel free to add me. And if you have any more questions or more ideas that you sparked from our quick session today and you want to share, be my guest. So great to meet you all, and really all the best.
Thank you, Yaron. That was brilliant. And does anyone have any questions for Yaron? Yaakov, I see that you already have one. Yaakov, sure.
Hi, Yaron. Thank you so much. That was really enlightening. Just a question in terms of reaching those, let's just say from the accountant example you gave. Are you offering, commission? Are you offering a referral fee? Are you just hoping that he's a nice guy and wants to give you business because you're a nice guy? What's your strategy there?
All of the above. So first, I would look for as many accountants as a code name as you can find that are parallel to you and non-competing, but are after the same audience. And then I would A/B test. To one, I would say, you're a nice guy, I'm a nice guy. To another, I would say, take 10% or take 100 shekels for every intro you make. To the third one, I would say, you can offer me as a digital marketing extension of your office. It's a value. It's a new thing you never do, right? And then whatever is the easiest for you and is the most cost effective, I would scale that. But I would definitely try a few approaches. But I think the problem or the challenge is to sit on your bum and find 50 accountants. After you do that, it's really a trial and error thing. Yeah. And every industry, every different audience has different accountants, different businesses which are after them, different groups they belong to. It's just about networking, your ones.
And a follow-up to that in terms of the Facebook groups, getting an admin of a Facebook group to even let you put anything business related is a big challenge. I mean, I know that I have that myself when I try to do the same thing for myself or for my clients. What kind of incentive are you offering them to let you post or offer the kind of service that you want to those groups?
It's a good question. It's very difficult to, smear Facebook admins. A lot of businesses come to them. the last thing I would advise is to just randomly spam and post and then get deleted and whatever. Usually with Facebook groups, it's really makes sense a lot of the time to just create your own in some sense, and even invest time and money to nurture that and bring people from the community who are dominant to co-admin with you. And then like you're just a networker and created the asset and you can use it. But if you do want to work with admins, it usually sums up with a really big value. For example, listen, if you offer 20% off to your community on my services or a free first campaign for me, I will give you $1,000 worth of, I'm just exaggerating here, but I would essentially do your digital marketing for X amount of time. So that's a real barter. You're giving them something that's really tangible. A lot of them are business people in some sense, even Facebook group admins, even meetup groups, even WhatsApp groups, even others. I'm not talking about influencers and Instagram accounts and so on, which are the biggest business people today. But that's fine. The sweet spot is a value that don't lie to yourself. It needs to be of true value to them, and it substitutes for money. Or a lot of the times, you offer money or money worth. I would offer a lot of free tickets to events. I would offer them to be speakers on my platform and get money from that, which was a value and money. But the bottom line with Facebook admin is that it's not easy. You need to give them either real value or real money. If you're lucky enough to make it little money and success based, that's perfect. And if not, I'm a big believer in creating your own pools of liquidity in pockets in challenging places, if that makes sense.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Sure.
Any more questions? Awesome. Okay, well, thank you so much, Yaron. That was fantastic. I'm now going to put you into breakout rooms. It's now 5 to 3, so I'll bring you out at 10 past. So yes, let's do this. Yehudis, do you want to join your breakout room, Yehudis? Yehudis, do you want to join your breakout room? Yehudis?
Hi, Elena.
Hi. Did Debbie leave?
Yeah, she had a call. I spoke to her for 5 minutes, but she had a call she had to go to.
Anyway, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good. And you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm struggling with kids still being at home. I mean, I'm personally not, but it affects my business, so that's the pain.
You're struggling with what?
The kids being at home affects my business, so that's a challenge, really.
Do you have kids?
No. It's just a challenge, like in terms of people who can't come to meetings because they've got kids at home.
Oh, yeah, no, it's a big challenge, but I wouldn't have it any other way, though.
Yeah, that's the right attitude. But yeah, a lot of people won't come to meet. It's hard. It's just the corona thing is hard, you know.
Yeah, you've got to embrace whatever life throws at you, and not, it's technically a big screw up in so many ways.
Yeah, it's I'm hoping that they'll go back in March. I don't know, or maybe after Pesach they'll go back. I don't know.
Yeah, I hope so. Just the fact of being at home all day, it's very challenging to get much work done. But
Yeah, I'm sure.
the time I have with them is irreplaceable, and I won't regret it at all. That's all I know.
That's amazing. Yeah, it's very, very, very hard. Yeah, just a hard time basically. Anyway, how's the business going in general?
Yeah, look, it's tough. It's got to focus on kids and exposed to business. But I have a few clients that's keeping me going, and my wife teaches English, which keeps us going a bit. But yeah, obviously, I want to get back up where I was before, even further. But so we'll just have to see. I think it's a great way. Yeah, with networking, you've got to meet to however form you can, and just keep meeting people, which is key, I think.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. And are you happy in Haifa?
Yeah, no, we love Haifa. Just with the lockdown, it's hard to do much. Look, it's been winter as well, so you don't really want to get out much. But yeah, once the lockdown's out, the beach, what Haifa's offer is unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm sure. I really want to go visit, actually. I want to do a weekend where I'm thinking to go to Haifa.
Yeah, so before Corona, I was traveling quite a bit to Tel Aviv. I was organizing, I was getting workshops going, and I was getting quite a bit of traction. But that all blew up, once Corona hit.
Yeah. It's hard. Very, very, very hard.
Yeah.
Very hard time, basically. Motivated about it.
Sure.
I'm hoping it will start.
Do what you got to.
Have you had the first jab, the first chisun?
I won't do it for me personally.
Makes sense.
I'd rather get Corona and be isolated from people, which I am anyway. I don't really see many people anyway, but it's a virus. And if you're healthy and your immune system's strong, you'll get over it pretty quickly.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it's for everyone, because a lot of people aren't as healthy or in vulnerable groups. And I think it's important for most people to get it. But for me, unless I have to and forced to get it, I won't get it.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah. I want to go to England also, so for me there's a big incentive to get it.
Yeah, of course. So that's what I'm saying. So if you're forced to, like, you can't travel, you can't do anything, you're like in a prison, then yeah, obviously it makes sense to get it. But if I don't have to, then I'm not going to put poison knowingly in my body, you know?
Yeah, no, I hear. Makes sense. Yeah. I had the first one, but now I'm just don't want to get corona between the first and the second one, because that would be the worst. Then I don't get.
But the second one is worse than the first?
No, like I'm nervous to get corona between the first and the second, because if I get corona, it won't give me the second, and I want the green passport in case it ever becomes like a thing that I can travel. So
what happens if you get corona between the first and the second?
It won't give you the second.
They won't give you the second jab?
No.
So you have to redo the first jab again?
I don't know how it works. I don't think they've got there that far yet. But at the moment, like if you have corona, then they won't give you the second jab.
I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't know.
So now this is like the big fear is that, between that I'll get it, and then I've got a problem, because, then I lose all the benefits of potentially getting it. So now I'm being very careful.
You properly isolate them?
Not really. I'm not being so careful, to be honest, but I was going to go to Jerusalem, but I'm going to wait because it's really bad there. So I'm definitely limiting travel and stuff. But it's hard. You also want to get out for mental health reasons,
Of course, but at least you can go for a walk a bit, but stay like socially distant. Where do you live, in Tel Aviv?
Yeah, in Tel Aviv.
So I'm sure it's a lot more crowded there than Haifa.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because like we have like the park, like I mean, obviously you've got parks everywhere, but like when we go, there's a lot of social distancing anyway. Like it's a lot more, like I find it's more spacious than say Tel Aviv, where it's like packed.
Yeah.
I don't know about now.
Pardon?
No, I don't know about now during Corona if it's still packed or at all.
Yeah, to be honest, pretty much. Yeah, that's the truth.
Oh, okay. Nothing's changed.
So yeah, but it's a challenge. This Corona thing.
Yeah. So how are you managing? Are you getting a lot more people into the network?
We grew over January. I grew hugely. I'm now at 70 members, so we grew a lot over January. I think it will slow down now until after Pesach, because I think like in the middle of Pesach, people won't, like I won't get any new members in March. I don't think, maybe it will, but I don't think so.
Okay, and guests, a lot more guests coming, you find?
About the same, actually. I've not had a huge drop off in guests yet. Again, I think I will closer to Pesach, but at the moment, no. Herzli, I've got loads signed up on Wednesday for Herzli. Whether they turn up or not is a different story, but I have lots signed up on Wednesday. So we'll see. It was definitely, listen, January was one of the best months we've had. Which I knew was happening just because it's the beginning of the year and financial year, and it kind of made sense. But we'll see. Like before Pesach, no one's going to join, so I reckon March it will die. Not die, but I think it will. You know, awesome. Ayelet, do you want to quickly introduce yourself?
Oh,